Hello and welcome to From Digital to D&D. For those of you unaware, this series sees a character from fiction receive a stat block for you to use in your games of D&D along with ways to use them. Naturally, any character that features in this series belongs to their respective owners. Today's episode is dedicated in honour of Minecraft's greatest player. Let's cut straight to the point. Here is the one and only Technoblade. Technoblade is one of Minecraft's most famous streamers. During his time, he rose from a promising upstart until his title of The Blade became a legend. It is unknown how many battles Technoblade fought, but in every single one, he emerged the victor. No matter how the odds were stacked, one thing remained a constant. Technoblade never dies. Techno proved his skill and prowess on and off of the battlefield, participating in competitions boasting the best of the best. And he emerged on top comfortably. It was not even close. Events would culminate in a one-on-one duel between Technoblade and Dream. The two warriors were close, but in the end, Techno stood supreme as the ultimate warrior. This was merely the beginning of many achievements for the Blade. One of his most legendary victories was winning the Potato War, a long conflict measured not with skills with a weapon, but mastery of farming. This victory rang out a clear message to any who would dare stand against Technoblade. In all arts of war, there would be no victory. With this mythical reputation, it became a defining moment of the War for L'Manberg when the Blade answered the call of revolution. All denizens of the Dream SMP quivered in fear when the word came out that Technoblade had arrived. Many denizens had already clashed with Technoblade before and could still feel the moment they fell to Techno. Partnering with the rebels, Techno became the primary weapon of the revolution, arming them with weapons, armour and food. And when the battle for L'Manberg began, it was a decisive victory. The rebels overthrew their tyrannical leader and established new leadership. But this was their biggest mistake, for Technoblade is an anarchist. He despises any form of government, seeing it as a corrupt prison, and that all governments must fall. The only thing he hated more was orphans. So, the rebels' victory was short-lived, as Techno turned on them. In the ruins of L'Manberg, Techno unleashed his wrath upon his new enemies and conjured multiple withers to cement the destruction. Leaving the smoking ruins behind, Technoblade retreated to a distant, frozen land to live in isolation. Having struggled to combat the voices in his head calling for blood, Techno swore off violence and to live in peace. And he did. Until some old enemies returned. The Butcher Army, a new faction of the rebuilt L'Manberg government, tracked Techno down. Begging them to not attack, Techno revealed he was not pleading for his own life, but for his enemies. Alas, the only choice left was blood, and in a flash, the Blade decimated the Butcher Army. Techno was only stopped when the Butchers took Techno's faithful steed Carl hostage. With no other options, Techno submitted, and was scheduled for execution by having an anvil dropped on him. Techno was trapped, no way out. He looked up in terror as the anvil fell before it became crashing down on his skull. But his executioners forgot one vital thing. The Blade will never die. Having stashed a totem of undying away, Technoblade survived the anvil and used it to escape. Upon returning home, Technoblade found a desperate child named Tommy. Tommy was one of the founders of L'Manberg, but had been banished. Due to the hostile action of L'Manberg, Technoblade revealed his vault. Inside, his armaments of war, including countless withers ready to be awoken. Thinking he had a new ally, Techno assisted Tommy in infiltrating L'Manberg, but at a critical moment, both Tommy and Techno were surrounded by over 30 foes, and Tommy betrayed Techno, returning back to L'Manberg. Enraged by this betrayal, and the actions of L'Manberg, Techno teamed up with his old rival Dream and friend Filza to finally end this corrupt nation. The plan was simple. Filza would rain arrows from the sky. Dream would construct a machine that would drop an endless stream of explosives to reduce L'Manberg into a smoking crater. And Techno would distract the entire forces of L'Manberg with the aid of his hounds and withers. That day, L'Manberg fell. Technoblade stood atop the ashes. Though L'Manberg was gone, Technoblade remained, and he would be vital in breaking Dream from his impenetrable prison. But Technoblade's ultimate enemy would reveal itself, and the Blade's final battle would begin. Techno's final war was long, but in the end this foe could not be defeated. His final battle ended in a draw, but we forget one thing: Technoblade never dies. We miss you, Techno. Technoblade is a pigman with unrivaled skill in warfare. From a glance, he is no different from another person, but when action is required, Techno shows he is far beyond the average person. His strength, agility, durability, cunning, knowledge, and charisma are exceptional. He can use anything as a weapon, but he has his favourites. Technoblade's primary weapon is the Orphan Obliterator. This blade is comprised of netherite, one of the strongest metals in existence, and has been carefully enchanted to make it one of the most deadly weapons in the world. The already sharp blade has been enchanted to cut deeper, and its touch can set almost anything on fire. And with a flourish, Techno can sweep the blade through multiple targets. Though he prefers to use his sword, Techno carries a magical trident that can propel him through water, including rainfall. But when an enemy is too far away, countless options are available. The Techno Drill is an enchanted netherite pickaxe capable of tunneling through anything with ease. His supply of ender pearls can be used to teleport to his target. And the Rocket Launcher is a magical crossbow that fires fireworks instead of arrows. The magic of this crossbow duplicates the launched fireworks, turning one into three. One firework travels in a straight line and the other two branch off in a 45-degree angle. Obviously, being caught in the blast is painful. His armor is impressive, also being made of enchanted netherite. Breaching the armor is difficult as it near negates impacts and touching it can inflict a thorny recoil. Some have perished trying to hurt Techno whilst he just stands there. But that isn't all. Techno can go even further beyond by unleashing his arsenal of splash potions. These potions enhance his already incredible might, making him stronger, faster, and more. But should a foe somehow push him back, Techno can use his Totem of Undying to survive a fatal strike, and use golden apples to heal himself instantly. And that is a mistake, for the voices that already whisper in Techno's ear will be screaming for blood. Technoblade truly is the greatest warrior of his time. Now, I normally try to keep things balanced, but Technoblade is beyond balance. So I decided to give you the full might of the blade. This is one of my largest sheets to date, and I strongly suggest you check it out at your own pace to take in every part of it. I'll do my best to keep my highlights brief. Starting with stats, Techno has 20 in every stats, and is proficient with every saving throw. And going for attacks is difficult due to an AC of 24. Most of Techno's traits are the enchantments of his weapons and armor. Due to him wearing netherite armor, any damage Techno takes is reduced by 10. And should you hit him, his thorns will inflict terrible recoil. As for actions, Orphan Obliterator is Techno's primary weapon. Techno is capable of dealing 120 damage per turn with this weapon with just its base damage. But hitting a target can cause it to ignite, and once per round, Techno can sweep the blade as part of the attack to deal extra damage to anyone in a 10-foot cube originating from Techno, which also ignites them. Though not a normal weapon, the Techno Drill works wonders on objects and structures and Quackity's teeth. Having it equipped also gives Techno a burrowing speed of 40 feet. On its own, the Trident isn't too exciting, but it allows Techno to use Riptide. This launches Techno through any body of water including heavy rainfall, and anyone caught in his path takes damage. Now, the rocket launcher is complex, so bear with me on this one. The effects of the rocket launcher travel in a 120-foot cone, but in that cone are 3 lines that each rocket travels along. One rocket travels down the center of the cone and the other 2 travel along the left and right side of the cone. If a creature would be hit by a rocket, it must make a DC 21 dexterity saving throw to avoid being impacted. Once a rocket hits a solid surface or reaches the end of the line, it explodes. Anyone within 20 feet of an exploding rocket must make a DC 21 dexterity saving throw. On a failed save, they take 6d6 bludgeoning damage and 6d6 fire damage. A successful saving throw halves that. The last part to mention for the rocket launcher is that a creature can only be affected once by an explosion if it is in the radius of 2 explosions. The last action to mention is Splash Potions. Should Techno use this, he gains several buffs for 3 minutes. He gains immunity to fire damage and dark vision out to 300 feet. He regains 20 hit points at the start of his turn if he has at least 1 hit point. His speed is doubled, and his strength score becomes 29. These effects can also be applied to anyone within 5 feet of Techno, so be careful. And if you're curious, that increases a round of Orphan Obliterator damage to 136 with just the normal slashing damage. And his attack roll bonus becomes plus 20 for Orphan Obliterator. So you better hope you can dispel the effects. Next are bonus actions, of which Technoblade has 1. 3 times per short or long rest, he can throw an Ender Pearl, which lets him teleport up to 60 feet. The reactions are where things get special. Techno has 5 reactions per round. Most of these keep up his defenses, but his most important one is not even close, baby. If Techno is reduced to 0 hit points, he instead drops to 1 hit point and then heals an extra 24 hit points, totaling 25 HP. But the last area to talk about is his mythic trait. Techno does not have legendary actions, he doesn't need them. But should he somehow get pushed into a corner, its ultimate trait activates. Technoblade Never Dies is a mythic trait that heals Techno to full, gives him 76 temporary hit points, and lets him use mythic actions. Functioning just like legendary actions, Techno can make his foes regret making the voices in his head angry, for now he must spill blood for the Blood God. Technoblade best serves as a force of nature. His name should be whispered, and any who hear it should quiver in fear. The legend of Technoblade alone could provide some excellent world building, as his exploits have lifted him into myth. But perhaps a party are from a kingdom currently under the iron fist of a monstrous dictator. However, this serpent has many heads, and the party cannot cut them all off on their own. In order to win their freedom, the revolution will need a weapon, and the blade is the ultimate slayer of government. The adventure could see the party learn of Technoblade and have to seek him out. This legend could be in a remote land cut off from the world where the blade lives in peace. But news of a government oppressing its people will reawaken the blade and begin the doomsday clock. Nobody is better at revolution. But I propose another path. The party find themselves in a land where a once great kingdom has collapsed. It fell overnight, and the few survivors claim a being known simply as the Blade turned their city to ash. The collapse of a government leaves a power vacuum, one that many may try to fill, maybe even the party. A small settlement of people going about their lives is fine, but should one person use their perceived authority to oppress another, the Blade will come for them. And when the party finally meet Technoblade, his sarcastic personality may catch them off guard, only to flee in terror when he goes on the attack. But with that, we've reached the end of today's video. Before you head off, I would like to thank you for watching, and I hope you managed to get something out of this. If you feel like helping out, you can become a patron using the link in the description. The stat block for Technoblade is available on D&D Beyond for free, and the link to it is in the description. I hope you all have a great day, and may your dice roll favourably, but most importantly, subscribe to Technoblade. Goodbye for now. Not even close.